my channel. In today's video, I will be sharing how I made these two different styles of midi skirts using no pattern at all. I believe these are super beginner friendly since you only need to know how to use a sewing machine to make them. Skirts in general are a huge staple in my own wardrobe, and since taking up sewing as a hobby, I've been trying to make the clothes that I would like to add to my wardrobe instead of buying them new. So let's get into the sewing. To start, we'll be cutting a rectangular shape from your fabric of choice that will measure approximately twice the size of your waist circumference and however long you would like your skirt to be. I like my bottoms to sit high on my waist, so I measured the length at that starting point. I ended up adding a flounce at the bottom of the skirt in the end, so if you would like, calculate that length in your skirt as well. Also, if your fabric isn't wide enough like mine, you can always cut an extra piece of fabric to make up for the width that is missing. Then secure them together with a straight stitch and an overlock stitch. So now you should be left with this giant piece of fabric here, whether you cut it in just one whole piece or you added a little extra piece to make up for what you were missing for the width. You can kind of see my seam over here. This print is very busy, so we won't be seeing that seam a lot anyway. So the next step after cutting your fabric is to overlock all the raw edges. Overlocking will just make the skirt a lot cleaner on the inside. It'll make it a lot more enjoyable to wear, and it will last you a lot longer as well, since the little threads won't fray away from the skirt and start to create any holes or little things like that. Once all the edges are secured with the overlock stitch, it's time to make the waistband of the skirt. I calculated 3.5 inches for my waistband, but you can always adjust this measurement according to personal preference or the width of the elastic you'll be using. Fold over the edge of the fabric and pin the waistband in place by also folding over the edge of the fabric towards the inside of the waistband. So after pinning down our waistband here, we're just gonna top stitch this edge right here, and then we're going to separate the waistband area of the skirt into 3 sections, and these 3 sections will be the encasing for our elastic. This is the type of elastic I'll be using. So depending on the type of elastic you're using, you'll want to separate the waistband for the encasing of the elastic. Once those tubes are created with the stitches, we'll just thread the elastic through with a safety pin. To determine how much elastic you'll need for the waistband, lay the elastic around your waist until it sits comfortably and you can still move within it. Then cut 2 more pieces of elastic of the same width. Next, add a safety pin to the end of one of the elastics to start feeding it through the first encasing of the waistband. This is one of those repetitive steps that I personally find very therapeutic when sewing, so put on some good music and repeat this step until your waistband is all done.
Slow down, hold on, take a breath. If I could, I'd make me feel less. Something in my brain causes stress. So come on, make me feel different. You wanna hold, don't hold back. Oh, your little drama's got me mad, and I don't need to tell you facts.
And finally, you should have a fully wearable maxi skirt. You can definitely stop at this step if you'd like, but if you know me, you know I love adding little details to my clothes. So I will be adding a little flounce to the bottom of this skirt, give it that tiered effect. So these next steps I will be showing you is how to add a flounce to your skirt. So the first step is to measure the full bottom width of the skirt, and we will be multiplying this measurement by 2. We want the added rectangle to be ruched together to give it that tiered effect. That's why we are multiplying this measurement. Next, sew 2 rows of gathering stitches at the top edge of this large rectangle, and then gather the stitches together to give it that ruched effect. Next, I am sewing together the bottom part of the skirt to the top part of the large rectangle. And finally, here is our maxi tiered skirt. Second midi skirt style, we will be starting with the same shape as the first one, a large rectangle that measures twice the measurement of your waist for the width by however long you would like your skirt to be. Here I am seam ripping a dress design I had attempted to make that didn't work out, and since I love the fabric and the pattern so much, I wanted to reuse it for this project. As beautiful as I find this floral fabric on its good side, I love how faded and soft the print looks on the inside, so I decided to use this as the good side of my skirt. So now that I have my 2 pieces for the skirt here, I'm just gonna attach them on the side with a straight stitch, just so that it's one long continuous rectangle. And then at the top of the skirt is where we'll be adding the pleating, and we'll pleat the entire top of the skirt until it reaches our waist measurement with an added measurement for seam allowance. We'll be adding a side zipper to this skirt, so make sure you leave enough space for some seam allowance and for the zipper. Fabric is prepped and ready, it is time to create the pleats. This step takes a little bit of trial and error until figuring out how large or small the pleats need to be. Since I was working with remnants of this fabric, the width of the skirt was a little smaller than I would have liked it to be, so I went with 1.5-inch wide pleats and decided to leave the sides of the skirt without any pleating. I would say if you would like your entire skirt to be pleated, maybe try multiplying the width by 2.5 instead of 2. To create a pleat, pinch the edge of the fabric and fold it over to the left side until the folded fabric underneath measures 1.5 inches in width, and secure it in place with a pin. Repeat this step until the entire top edge of the skirt is pleated. Once you have all of your pleats settled and pinned in place, you'll want to top stitch them so that it's easier to attach to the waistband. Length of the top stitch is a personal preference. I'm going for a stitch that's 5 inches from the top of the skirt here for a little bit more of a statement. You can always make this stitch longer or shorter depending on what look you're going for the skirt. Once the pleating is done, it was time to attach the waistband. To make it a little more sturdy, I doubled the width of the waistband so that the edges fold over the front and back of the skirt and also fit the zipper in between so that it looks a little more seamless. I'm attaching the waistband on the inside of the skirt first, folding it over as if it was just a big piece of bias binding. This way, the main part of the skirt is sandwiched in between the waistband. Finally, I'm attaching the zipper and decided to leave a slit on the side of the skirt so that it's a bit more flowy when worn. And finally, here is how our pleated midi skirt turned out. Enjoyed watching this video, and I hope it inspired you to take on sewing if you haven't tried it before, or if you do sew in your free time. I would love to know if you're going to plan to make any of the skirts we made in this video. If you do tag me on Instagram at Moderne Prairie with your creations. I would love to see them. As always, thank you so much for watching. You have a lovely day, and I'll see you in the next one.